Now we're going to elevate this with some zoom animations. As always, you don't want to put all of your tricks in the first video. Think of the first video as like an introduction to the rest of your skills. So skip the first video. Moving on to the second one, you can just kind of zoom in and zoom out depending on the action. So for example, in the bike video, we have the perfect opportunity to use a zoom out transition because the subject is far away and the action that they're doing is in slow motion. Get the transform effect from the effect panel. And we're using the transform effect because we have the option to add motion blur. That's why we're not using the motion within the video itself. So down here at transform, make a keyframe for scale, and then go backwards to the beginning and just increase the scale to like 150. Again, this depends on your video. If your video is low quality, avoid zooming in too much. I'm also going to use my position. Let's first make a keyframe at the current settings. Push it here and match it with the second scale keyframe. In the first one, we're going to move it so that the subject is at the center of my screen. So we get something like this. It's a little too slow, so I'm going to grab them both, right click, temporal interpolation, and do ease in. Now when I open these up, we get the points that I can alter with. Let's see the difference. So that's a lot better, but I have the option to just make this even better. Use the handles to push this to the other side. So it's like fast at the beginning, then slow near the end. Do the same thing with the second set of keyframes. So now we get this zoom out effect for our bike video. On the other hand, we can have like zoom in effect on one of our other videos. I'm going to grab this video, add the transform effect right on. This one doesn't have any time remapping keyframes, so it should be pretty easy to do. Make a keyframe for scale, bring your playhead at the end, and scale it in by maybe 150. So we have this pretty simple zoom in transition. For this one, I'm going to do the opposite. So grab it, transform. Here we're going to have 150 at the start, 100 at the end. So we have two opposite animations here. And I think 150 is too little. Let's go for like 180. So we have a nice zoom out, zoom in transition. Let's do the same thing here. Starting with 100, going to a frame here and typing in 150. So we get something like this. And let's actually pull this near the end so there's no pause. All right, the rest are time remapped. This one is good. So we have all of the transitions right now. Now we're going to add something called motion blur, and it really helps elevate your transitions. So go into the videos that have the transform effect, scroll down and disable this option. Then we're going to increase the shutter angle to 360 degrees. Do this with all of the other videos that have the transform effect. This way we're going to get motion blur at the corners of our video, which can help make our clip look more seamless and just a lot better. Close these off, 360, there we are. So motion blur is really good for these action videos. I'm gonna render this in and out. And notice how we did not use any crossfades, any like crazy transitions. That's because we want to keep the focus on the action and have the audience be pumped as to what the subjects are doing. So if we did use something epic like a 3D rotation, a page flip, things like that, then we would just distract the audience from seeing our great footage. So now this is what we have. So that's pretty good. We kept things really simple yet effective. One last thing is to add like cinematic bars, because some of these clips had black bars and you can see that they get stretched in when we have our transform effect. So let's make a new adjustment layer and add the crop effect. So now, regardless of what the videos have, I have my own black bars. To make this perfect, you would have to add these sound effects and do some sound design. We already know how to do that. So if you want your action videos to look better, just use some sound design. And we're pretty much ready to go. So this was our first transition style, really simple yet effective. In the next lesson, we're going to learn more about transitions and the different styles out there. See you guys in the next lesson.